It started like any ordinary night at the McDonald's on the corner of Maple and Fifth, the kind of place that glowed like a beacon in the dark, promising salty fries and warm burgers to late-night drivers and weary workers heading home. The air was thick with the smell of frying oil, laughter from a booth of teenagers, and the constant ding of the order screen as new tickets rolled in. To anyone watching, it was just another normal evening, but within the span of 10 minutes, that ordinary night would erupt into something no one there would forget. The man who walked in just after 10 p.m. looked tired. His name was Carl, a 42-year-old construction worker who had spent the entire day out in the sun. His clothes still carried the dust of the site. His boots were heavy, and all he wanted was a hot meal before collapsing into bed. He ordered quickly, a Big Mac meal, large fries, and a Coke. The cashier smiled politely, tapped the order in, and handed him his receipt. Carl stepped aside to wait. The minutes dragged. He could feel his stomach growling, his patience thinning. He watched as workers hurried behind the counter, juggling orders, calling out numbers. His number was finally called, and he grabbed the bag, relief washing over him. But when he sat down and opened it, his relief turned into frustration. No Big Mac. Instead, a Filet-O-Fish. His fries were small, not large. And instead of a Coke, he had been given a Sprite. He sighed heavily, muttering under his breath. Mistakes happen, he told himself. He walked back to the counter, held up the bag, and explained politely at first. "Hey, I think I got the wrong order. Can I just get what I ordered?" The young woman behind the counter apologized immediately. She looked nervous, clearly tired from the rush. She promised to fix it right away. But then, a small miscommunication happened. Instead of replacing the meal, she told him to wait again while they made a fresh one. Carl, already exhausted, felt his frustration building. His hunger, his long day, the mistake. It all seemed to pile up at once. Another 10 minutes passed. Carl watched as other customers received their food, laughing, talking, moving on with their night. His anger simmered. When the bag finally came out again, he checked it, only to find that the Coke was still wrong. It felt like a slap in the face. This time, he didn't stay calm. Voices rose. He slammed the bag on the counter. Workers froze, unsure how to respond. Other customers began to turn, their conversations fading as the scene escalated. Carl's voice cut through the air. "I paid for my food. How hard is it to get an order right?" The manager rushed over, trying to defuse the situation. But by now, Carl was red-faced, his frustration boiling over into rage. Words turned into shouting. Shouting turned into swearing. And then, violence. In one quick motion, Carl leaned over the counter, grabbing at the bag, knocking over cups and sending straws and napkins flying. When an employee tried to step between him and the others, Carl shoved him hard. The young man stumbled back, hitting the ice machine. Gasps filled the restaurant. Someone pulled out their phone, recording the scene. The workers scrambled to protect themselves. One called 911. Another shouted at Carl to leave. But he didn't leave. He pushed further, yelling, pointing, his body language aggressive. To him, it wasn't just about the food anymore. It was about respect, about feeling dismissed after a long day of being overlooked and exhausted. By the time the police arrived, the restaurant was in chaos. Carl was restrained, handcuffed, and let out while customers whispered and stared. Some felt sorry for him, knowing what it's like to snap under the weight of stress. Others were furious, saying no bad day excuses assault. The charges came swiftly: disorderly conduct, destruction of property, and assault. The video spread online within hours, fueling debate. Comment sections lit up. Some called him a monster. Others called him a victim of circumstance. In court, the prosecutor argued that Carl had crossed a clear line. Everyone gets the wrong order sometimes, they said. But most people don't respond by shoving workers, by terrorizing a restaurant full of customers. Carl had put people in danger, and that could not be excused. The defense painted a different picture. Carl wasn't a criminal, they argued. He was a man beaten down by life, stretched too thin, making a mistake in a moment of frustration. He had never been violent before, had no record, and he deeply regretted what had happened. His lawyer reminded the jury that the workers were not seriously injured, that Carl had simply lost his cool. Was that worth branding him a criminal forever? The jury wrestled with the questions. Was Carl guilty of assault, a man who let anger consume him and lashed out at innocent workers? Or was he simply human, caught in a moment of weakness, guilty only of poor judgment in a stressful situation? For the workers, the scars weren't physical but emotional. Some didn't feel safe coming back to work. Others questioned why they should have to tolerate abuse just to earn a paycheck. For Carl, the guilt was heavy. He sat in silence as the judge read the verdict, his fate now sealed by that one night when hunger and frustration turned into violence. And for the rest of us, the story leaves a haunting question. In a world where pressure builds and mistakes happen, how far is too far? Was Carl guilty of assault, or just guilty of being human in the wrong moment? Guilty or not? For more chilling true crime cases, subscribe to our channel. Guilty or not?